Now he's got the back. Now. He's out. He has done it. It is all over.
Connor just slices through him like butter.
Look out.
Oh.
Uppercut.
Wow. Oh. What did we say before this fight? We had never seen.
Oh. Oh, no.
What's the retail on one of those?
And now he jumps the fence.
No.
Whoa. No. And he's going right at Dylan Dennis.
Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and Bitcoin is slowly but surely taking out more and more market caps. And as you can see, has just flipped Meta, now sits at the number 9 spot, Silver at the number 7 spot, not very far away. We will soon be at 1 trillion for Bitcoin. And despite eyeing 1 trillion, despite Bitcoin trading at over $43,000, this is what Google Trends looks like for search terms for Bitcoin. As you can see, we are nowhere even close to euphoria. The normies, they left, right? They left back here and they've never come back. They've never even looked back, okay? They've just pronounced Bitcoin dead after they lost their money and sold the bottom, and they've never looked back since. So what a wild time to be alive. This is at some point going to start to do this, right? But we're a long way off that yet. I would speculate that it's probably not until we get very close to the all-time high, if not through the all-time high, that we will start to see this thing pick up. I've been talking on and off of this channel about the multiplier effect, the Bank of America study that showed the multiplier was somewhere around 118. I've done my own back of the napkin math. If you're interested in seeing the numbers I managed to come up with, then go and check out my video called something along the lines of Bitcoin, you're not bullish enough. James here had a crack at this and he noticed that the market cap went up 40 billion from 810 to 850 yesterday. So looking at exchanges, roughly $350 million has come off the market. And that gives us a multiplier effect of 114. So if you're unfamiliar with this, Bank of America put out a study that shows the multiplier effect is 118. And what this means is for every dollar that comes in to Bitcoin, we see the market cap increase by 118. This is because the number of Bitcoin held for the long term, locked down by long-term holders, continues to increase while the supply available for trade continues to decrease. So to move the market cap by 100% takes significantly less than 100% of the capital in the market cap. This is one of the reasons that people are just simply not ready for the explosive upside moves that we could well be staring down the pipe at for Bitcoin. So the question remains, are you paying attention yet? Okay, this is Bitcoin denominated in US Treasury bonds, just about to hit a brand new all-time high. Really think about the implications of this. The story remains the same, okay? Global liquidity continues to be up and to the right since the lows were made in October, November. And so long as this liquidity continues to increase, we will continue to see risk assets soar. The story also remains the same pertaining to the ETF, as this thing is coming, okay? BlackRock has received 100K as seed capital for its spot Bitcoin ETF, selling 4K shares at a price of $25 per share. So when an ETF provider like this starts to launch and conduct the seed, what this tells you is they are getting ready to launch this thing for real, okay? So this thing has been done, the ETF is coming, it is just a matter of time. And Bitcoin seems to be pricing this in, right? Take a look at this. Everywhere I look, every day, I come on here and I show you more charts and all of them look bullish, right? We have broken out of this trend line, we've broken out of the cloned one, and there's nothing ahead. Okay, there's nothing ahead. And as Jordan has shown here multiple times, whenever we do this, right, very good things happen to the price of Bitcoin walking forward. Is this time going to be different? Well, of course, it's a market. Anything can happen. And just because we have a breakout here does not mean we could not see this turn into a fake out and a rollover. But if this thing can continue to confirm, then we are going to see a repeat of prior history. We also have this proprietary indicator from Tony, which shows us that every time we get a purple change on one of these candles, what comes after is a parabola. Again, it tells us to keep an open mind about seeing higher prices for Bitcoin. Speaking of Tony, take a look at this, because the 4-week super trend on Bitcoin just triggered. It just triggered a buy signal. There's never ever been a false one of these. Okay, so as you can see, buy signal, parabola, buy signal, massive uptrend, buy signal tells us to be open to seeing more upside. And as if that's not enough, this schematic, which I've shown a bunch of times, we are halfway through, okay? We are currently 58% of the way through this schematic. So remember, from this X marks the spot point here, which correlates to this part on the schematic, this is the point in time where it's reasonable to expect the stock could double in the shortest period of time. And like I said, we are 58% of the way through to the doubling. Remember, the doubling puts us somewhere in the neighborhood of $69,000 to $72,500. So this will be an all-time high if this thing can complete. Then we enter base 4, and then of course, you know what comes next, right? Every time I show this, I like to point something out. If I draw a straight line as straight as I can here, this is March of next year, okay? Remember the halving. If this schematic is to play out, this thing will top before the halving, okay? Now, that to me is max pain. Of course, one day at a time, as always, that is to be determined. Here's the dollar index, okay? Check this out. Putting in potentially a breakout. Now, there's nothing to say that this won't roll over and continue down. And if that's the case, then we'll just redraw the trend line from here and go from there as we always do. But undeniably, we are seeing the pullbacks into the cycle lows for the stock market. We're also seeing gold come off a little bit, and we are getting late in the cycle for Bitcoin. History tells us that usually as we get ready to make some cycle lows across the risk assets, we see the dollar bid. So that's perfectly within the realm of normality. This is perfectly within the expectation. So long as this thing can continue to roll over, then we continue to target down here in the mid-90s for the DXY. Of course, if this thing is to be real, for real, if this thing is to confirm and start a true uptrend here, then this will get marked right here as the 3-year cycle low. It's slightly early, but it's not so early that it can't qualify as a 3-year cycle low. For me, the tail will be in the euro dollar, right? So we called this breakout very well, and we said once this breakout occurs, we'll see the Dixie come off, of course, because this makes up about 57% of the dollar basket. The way I see it right now is we're coming into trendline support, okay? So we've had this breakout in red, we're probably going to do something like this, trendline support, and then look to find a daily cycle low for the euro and start to bounce. Now, of course, if this can happen, we will, of course, see the dollar do something like this and then roll over, like I said, and we'll redraw the trend line, and that becomes our new line in the sand because that is the new area on the chart that the market is respecting. So all the while we don't violate this support like this, then I suspect we still continue down for the Dixie. But like I said, because the euro dollar makes up 57% of the basket, we need this thing to hold support and continue to catch a bid for the dollar to continue to come off. Overall, this is my base case. I'm not worried about this yet, but if this thing starts to break down, then like I said, we are going to have some issues on our hands potentially. 10-year yield, haven't covered this in a little while, but here it is, okay? Still doing practically what we expected it to do, still following my arbitrary yellow squiggle. So again, this does not speak to a risk off moment, does it? This is conducive to risk on rallies, and I'm sure that's what we're going to continue to see through the end of the year. Over in the world of Bitcoin and crypto, look, Bitcoin's still doing Bitcoin things, right? As I keep saying, and I will continue to say until we find this cycle low, we're getting late, right? The cycle low is due day 60, and this is currently day 51. So a pullback any day now is to be expected, but it doesn't have to be violent. It certainly could be a violent correction. It could be 30 or 40%, or it could be as shallow as 10 or 15. That's to be determined. We will find out soon enough. But as we get towards this time frame, we are going to see a pullback into a cycle low before we can resume. It's been a while since I covered that XRP trade. I know a bunch of you really like this asset. Anyway, here it is, okay? Long and strong continue to push, and for me, this is what I'm hoping to see, right? Something like this, break out and go, and then the party can start for XRP. Crypto-related equities are currently showing a masterclass for why it's important to push your trades, okay? I often see people say things like, there's nothing wrong with taking profit, or you can't go broke taking profit. Yeah, well, you can't get rich either, okay? You can't get rich either. You must push your trades. You must extract the most that the market will give you, and that includes, whilst it's absolutely valid, by the way, to sell this, right? To celebrate down here, there's nothing wrong with that. But if we're really going to push this trade, okay, if Bitcoin is really going to enter a parabola, then we're going to see this pull back into the cycle low, followed by violent resumption, okay? People that start taking profit because they're up 50, 60, 70%, okay, you're not going to make it. So like I said, there's nothing wrong with taking profit yet, but you're not going to get rich either. Same deal for MicroStrategy, okay? So I am expecting to give back some open profit here in the not too distant future into that cycle low, but as we get a swing in a reverse, that will be the time to add a position and look to get even further long. Same is true of Riot, okay? So this thing's going to keep pushing up. We are going to get a pullback into the cycle low, and the same is true of Marathon. Again, so long and strong continue to push right. We could probably move this arrow up, something more like this. But this is coming, believe me. This is coming in the not too distant future. And a lot of people are going to get shaken out of this. A lot of people are going to puke their positions only to then see me add, and we're going to go again. So like I said, you don't go broke taking profit, but you don't get rich either. It's worth keeping that in mind. New lows for oil, happy days. Short and strong continue to push, still targeting $40 a barrel there. All the while we're below this downward sloping red resistance line, we will continue to push the short. Here's the stock market. So look, we are getting congestion, right? This makes perfect sense. We've had a strong move off the lows. There's this cycle low in focus around the 20th of December. So some level of pullback into that cycle low before we resume to the upside makes perfect sense. But I expect this thing to continue to move. I expect all-time highs to be taken out by the end of the year. As I've been saying, the same is true of the NASDAQ and the Dow. So the VIX, look, back below 13, okay? Take a look at this. My yellow squiggle coming to fruition. The Russell 2K is again showing that breadth is widening, right? Market participation is broadening. And of course, that's exactly what you want to see as the market starts to run the all-time highs. Last but not least, here's gold. So big rejection here. Possible we make a daily cycle low and work our way up. I'm still going to stand by my original idea, which is that I'll buy the all-time high break, or we're expecting one final flush over. I did see a tweet from Bob Lucas. Let me go and find this for you. Here it is. So look what Bob Lucas sees, right? Bob Lucas thinks that's the top for the weekly cycle. We're probably going to find this daily cycle low in the not too distant future, have a counter trend bounce that forms a lower high, and then we get that rollover. So I love to see this because, as I've been saying over and over and over again, this has been my base case, that we haven't yet seen that 8-year cycle low. That 8-year cycle low will show up in Q1, at the end of Q1 or perhaps Q2 of next year. And then out of that 8-year cycle low, we should be able to exit all the profit from the stocks and crypto into gold, ready for this huge commodity super cycle that's going to be catalyzed by a QE bomb. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, as you know, one day at a time, but it's nice to see that this is how I've had it. And granted, I did really well, right? I did really, really well at capturing the bulk of this gold move. So we got long on the breakout here on the channel. We got short here. We flipped long again. We rode this whole trend, right, up to here. And then from this point, I sat out of the market and I haven't participated in any of this bit inside this yellow box, this yellow square I'm drawing right here, right? So I haven't captured any of this move. I've just been sat here waiting to get a good read on the market. Like I said, live on this channel, and you can go back and check this, you know, we did capture this, short this, capture all of this. So since then, I haven't really cared, right? I've just been waiting for a nice setup. Like I say, the base case has been this yellow squiggle, but if we get the all-time high break, then we'll get ready to get long. Nice to see Bob Lucas, though, like I said, is pointing at this, right? Which would give us the perfect opportunity to exit all the crypto and the risk assets into gold down here. And that would also give us the space to see this gold chart. This is, sorry, Bitcoin divided by gold, okay? Bitcoin priced in gold. This would also give us the space for this chart to complete. We would get up to around the neighborhood of 100 ounces of gold per Bitcoin. And then, of course, the 200 IQ play would be to exit the Bitcoin here whilst gold outperforms significantly. And then, of course, we'll flip back at a touch of support and exit all the gold into Bitcoin, ready for that major super cycle. Again, I'm kind of getting way too far ahead of myself. As you know, I'm more of a one day at a time kind of guy. But undeniably, right, you got to have an expectation, right? You got to have a base case, and this has been the base case. So we remain one day at a time as always. I said yesterday, if we were going to close secondary candles for silver back inside this breakout level, then this is going to be counted as a fake breakout. And that's exactly what we've got, right? So this position has been cut. I'm getting ready to go long if it reverses, if it breaks out again, and I'll happily jump in and out depending on how many times it breaks out and fails until we get true direction from the silver market. But as I've been telling you for the last few days, I was getting ready to cut this position. I'll just take a tiny little loss here, okay? We've got really, really nice open profit across the board. This year's been a fantastic year. Anyone that's been on the channel will know that. Why start taking losses back to back now? So I'll just cut this trade. I'm out of the way of that, and that's absolutely fine. Miners, still got some work to do for the seniors. Junior miners, as I said, as per yesterday and the day before's video, close daily candles below this, and I'll just cut this trade. This trade is cut as well, so tiny little loss there. This is how you do it, right? You take tiny, tiny little losses, and you push the winners, as I've shown you. Again, silver junior miners, right? Look at this, big rejection at resistance. I was saying, if the market speaks, we'll listen, and all that is so far is rejection. So again, if this breaks out, then I'll respect it. I'll hop back in here. I'm happy to be nimble, but for now, the market is speaking, and I don't want to be anywhere near these trades. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed that. I put out a members only update yesterday, so make sure you check that out. That stock that we're waiting to break out, I think, is getting ready to do it this week. So eyes on the prize as always. For everyone else, hope you're doing well in life. Take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.